we'll start with Mike Amick from Amick Sound. Do you want to give us a little bit about your background?
I grew up here in Rapid City. My father started the business in '71, so I grew up in it. In 2005, my brother-in-law and myself purchased the company from him, so we're second generation, and we've made it 13 years so far, so we've kind of beat the odds as far as second generation businesses.
All right, thanks, Mike. Okay, next we have Mike Alley from Exit Realty.
Mike Alley, yes. Been in Rapid for 50 years, School of Mines grad, 1972. Bounced around in lots of entrepreneur businesses, some that never made it, and started Exit Realty in 2005. It's a national franchise, there's a couple thousand offices, 40,000 agents, and still at it, surviving.
And he likes pickles.
And he likes pickle guy.
And next we have Barb Buchan-Schrader, and she is a Reiki master.
Yes, I'm a Reiki master. I have been self-employed all my adult life. I'm 56, so that's a very long time. I had Mountain Man Nut and Fruit Company, which is a franchise that I brought to Rapid City, South Dakota from when we moved from Denver. And I ran that for approximately 23 years. I then bought Global Market, and I had Global Market for 8 years. After I closed that store, while I was in that store, I was studied to become a Reiki master, which is ancient Japanese medicine. And so that is what I'm doing today. I'm a Reiki master, a life coach, and I'm a meditation facilitator.
Okay. Next up, we have Mark Schreiner from Print Market.
Hello. I grew up in northeast Nebraska, came out to National College in 1978. Fell in love with the hills. Went into the newspaper industry after college and worked in distribution and advertising and marketing, and where I fell in love with direct mail. In 2000, I started Print Market, and with the printing company, I also added direct mail right away. And since from there, I knew I needed to diversify, and 6 years ago I brought Impressions Rubber Stamps. 2 years ago I brought Unique Signs, and just 2 months ago I bought Sanctuary Printing in Belfouche. So I've grown through acquisition and diversification. Thank you.
And next we have Melanie Jargn. Oh, I did it. Okay. From Casey Peterson.
Yes, I'm originally from Phillip. I graduated from college up at BH in Spearfish, so I do love coming to this campus. It's kind of my home. I've been at Casey Peterson for a little over 11 years now, specializing in small business, tax and accounting consulting. Otherwise, when I'm not working, I'm chasing twin boys by myself. So I don't have much spare time when I'm not working. So.
Okay, sounds great. So we're going to open it up to questions, and if you are on Facebook, you can also type in if you have any questions. These can be anything from what's their successes, what are some of their struggles, how have they overcome certain things. It can also be some of the typical, like who's their targeted audience, what do they see in the future, marketing strategies, okay? So who has the burning desire to open us up to our very first question? No hesitation, Bethany. And when you ask your question, if you would please give your name and the business that you're from as well.
Deanna Fudo with Isogenics. I would like to know what is the burning passion you have within you that is why you do what you do?
All of us?
Yep, every single one of you can answer this question.
This is where the end comes into play. And I actually love that question because my burning passion is to just generally help people. And I was just talking earlier that every day I show up to work and it is something new every day. I typically don't have the same day over and over again. There is always a new project, a new client coming in with a new problem. They come to me to help them fix it. And I mean, I deal with taxes. Not a lot of people like taxes. And so I fix it for them. And just to have that feeling like, oh my gosh, I helped someone today. And granted, it's most of the time I'm helping them with taxes, but it's not always exciting for some people, but it is to me. And that is what I show up every day to do, is see what new problem I could fix, what new solution I can provide someone.
I love I minored in accounting, so. I grew up in a small business, so I knew what it took to, my stepdad, to run a business. I like helping business people grow their business and market their business. I make my own deliveries, so when I go out, I get the compliments, oh, this looks great, this is awesome, thanks for your service. I bring it back to my staff that did the work and tell them that, hey, we did a great job today. And so it's just helping businesses grow and do good marketing. Thank you.
That was really short. The passion for what I do. Well, I really honestly don't think I would be very good working for somebody else. I'm pretty independent and pretty strong-headed. But for the passion that I have for what I do today, I love my clients. I love watching them expand their life and continue to grow over and over and over. Watching little children that perhaps are autistic or are ADD, and watching them move through that without medication, and watching people get off opiates, and watching people not be on medicine for anxiety and stress, and watching them flower into the life and the person that they're supposed to be. There's nothing greater than watching people expand.
I have my own. It's a difficult question for me to answer, and I wonder why I'm still doing this. I'm 15 months from being 70, and I'm like, why aren't you getting out? But from my mother, I think I had a bad habit of, I never learned the word no. I still struggle telling people no. Additionally, when you have a lease that extends beyond your 70th birthday, you have to keep working or pay the rent, otherwise, your Social Security pays it. Beyond that, people ask me why I do this, and I'm kind of I consider myself a small-time philanthropist. And the only way you can support the needs of other people is by having income. So I continue to work so that I can generate. I don't need the job, okay? I'm just being straight frank. But if I don't have an income larger than my Social Security or savings, etc., then I can't help other people. And that's kind of my passion, is philanthropy.
What I enjoy is solving problems through technology. I get to play with all sorts of new toys as people come up with new ideas or new desires or new needs for their business or whatever project they're working on.
Okay, who has the next question?
Monique Stevens with South Dakota State University. How does education play a role in what you do, or with you yourself or with your employees?
Are you talking about past education or current education of self and
Like
employees?
higher education, maybe now or in the future, or in the past?
Go ahead.
Well, I have graphic designers on staff, as well as, so from that standpoint, I look for higher education to get them trained. As far as, and I embrace technology, so our equipment is ever changing, so We get training that way on our new equipment. I don't necessarily, I have a college degree. Thankfully, I do. I have a background in accounting. I did accounting work as well in years past, and so that's helped me immensely. I do my own books still. So higher education is very important. I'm on the chamber board, and we're on workforce development. We're meeting with the School of Mines of Black Hills State on how we can develop young people to be good employees of for this community. National College, when I was there, I mean, we pumped a lot of people into this community back in the day. Casey Peterson, Linda Ravy. There was Brad Slater, was a publisher of the Journal. I was a president at the bank. You know, they don't do that as much anymore, and it's a very, for me, disappointing. I'm trying to find interns. I've called I'm sorry. I've tried to get interns and I can't get them. I don't understand. So it's frustrating for me, and I would like to work closely with education, you know, to we can do something in this community, get interns and start staying in this community. They leave and they don't, you know, they want to come back later, but so.
Education is very important in our industry. We recruit heavily at the colleges locally, but then we also are in Vermilion, Brookings, Sioux Falls. So we're looking for those college graduates. I mean, we do internship programs, but I think, you know, you're right. We have to heavily be engaged with the business schools at the colleges in order to find those recruits. What's nice is our firm does require, we have a certain amount of continuing education, obviously, to maintain our licenses. But in our field, there's so many different exams, tests. It's just not the CPA exam that we have to do. I mean, we can become licensed so that we are well-rounded individuals, just not tax preparers. So education, and I seem to must thrive off education because I just keep going back and taking more tests and studying, and I can't get enough education some days. But it is very important that our firm has a good relationship with the local colleges, because that's where we're finding our workforce. And so we seem to have a younger generation. I mean, because our partners are aging out, so we're trying to fill those with some of the younger students. So.
Most of ours comes from the trade schools as a start, and then beyond that, a lot of it is specialized training by the manufacturers because it is so specific to what we do.
Well, I guess for me, I'm self-employed and I no longer employ people, but for me, I have to, most of my education is done online. I've been to LA and taken some classes there, but that is always ongoing. The last major class I took was quantum physics in manifesting. And of course, I didn't take that here, I took that online. So it's always continuing, I'm always reading and learning, because that's how we grow.
Higher education, you know, just a few years back, I was the alumni president at the School of Mines and got involved in student retention and student recruiting. And of course, higher education is an expensive proposition, but I have got involved with aiding high school students back in my hometown area to go to these summer science camps at South Dakota Mines. I'm blessed to have a cousin who is one of the finest math and science teachers in South Dakota up at Timber Lake on the reservation. And so we have these low-income kids from Beaver Butte, Timber Lake, Isabel, that look to go to these science camps. And so my wife and I have worked to scholarship them, and now we have a program through the School of Mines that they're creating to help more women, young women in particular, to get into the STEM program, science and technology. Regarding our business, I struggle getting agents that are realtors to do continuing ed. They think, most of them are at this point of, they do the minimum to maintain their license, and that's not a way to grow. My wife and I are big into the automobile university. Anybody familiar with Zig Ziglar and his idea that you spend a lot of time in the car? So we have probably well over 100 audio tapes that we purchased because we're old-fashioned. We still have CD players, right? And so we each drive 45 minutes twice a day. We live out beyond Nemo. She commutes to Spearfish. I commute to Rapid. We've gone through 500 hours, I imagine, of this education on audio tapes. And so higher education can be gained in multiple ways, and that's kind of where mine's at.
Hey guys, Joe and Rob Heckel here. How many, the whole panel up there, how many could walk away and your business would run, is my first question, seamlessly, not just a vacation. How many have processes and systems set up to where you could walk away and everything would just function well without you? And how much part do you guys play in the actual business to where, your job is that detrimental to where if you did walk away, things would just collapse? Do you guys delegate any of your tasks and chores to other people as far as work, or do you try to take it all on yourself? Good luck.
That's a great question.
I can jump on that one right away. Typically in the real estate world, it takes 12 to 15 agents to support one staff person, is how to do it. And so if you have less than that, you as an owner are probably going to be hanging around more than you want to be. It's pretty sad that someone that operates a business named Exit has no good exit strategy. The people at the home office in Toronto and then our regional office in Lakeville, Minnesota, continually are processing exit strategy, particularly for the oldest owner in the upper Midwest, which is me. So how to get out is a good question, and having an exit strategy is something we all need to be processing if we own a business. I have not processed it very well because I'm an engineer, not a business manager, and so I've had to learn this by default.
So that kind of segues into my position. It's a little different. I am just an employee of Casey Peterson. So to answer your question, I could probably walk away a lot easier than the rest of these because I do have my own clients that I am responsible for, but I could walk out the door and leave it to somebody else to pick up. And the clients will still be taken care of from Casey Peterson, but I have no, just so you know, I have no plans to do that. What we also specialize though is in succession planning, and that is part of our job as CPAs is to help business owners with some of that succession planning. Like, we are just not tax preparers, we are financial planners, consultants, and that is one piece of our planning that we do help with. And so if you need someone, let me know. I can get you with that. But no, as an employee though, I am responsible for a certain group of clients that I have relationships with, and I am one of the few staff at the office that they have a relationship with. They don't have relationships with anyone else. So in that case, yes, I would have to do something with them. I am the only one that knows anything about these clients. So it's a little similar, but at the same time different, where I can just step out.
I am teeing off at 11:40 today, so I do get out once in a while. I am a working owner. I do all the direct mail. I do have staff that I have somewhat trained to help me. I don't do the printing, I don't do the graphic design, I have staff for that I've delegated. I have a general manager in Belle Fourche that I trust and let her run that company up there. I was just up there yesterday, I answer phones. So I do work at my business. I am starting to work on a succession plan. I turn 59 next Wednesday. I don't see myself ever not working. I love my job. I didn't love the newspaper industry, but I love my job. I go to work every day and I'm excited. I like the new technology. We just put in a flatbed printer last month. We embrace technology. We have big printers that can do addressing and print and two-sided, and I mean, it's amazing what this stuff can do these days. So I love my job. I don't think I'll ever quit, but I want to pass it on somehow, some way.
Oh, okay. Well, I am obviously self-employed and only employed by self and have no employees. However, my job I do love, and it's a type of profession that I can do this well into my 80s if I want to. I do have a lot of clients from all over the world, from Japan to California, and those are all online. So I don't have to be in my office. I do a lot of work from my living room. My husband will verify that. So as for a succession plan, I think after owning 2 other businesses, I think that I've found it. I can do what I love, and I don't have to worry about employees anymore. And we're going to make ends meet so that they can make ends meet at their house. So I think that I have kind of found that.
With my firm, I'm half the company, so I'm there every day answering phones. We split the business out between the fire alarm and the sound. My partner handles the fire alarm side of the business, which has been our primary runner for keeping us going, and I handle the sound and all the other global systems. Could I walk away? Possibly. The business, I think, would struggle just because of my knowledge of the business end, and I handle mostly the business end of the business along with our bookkeeping. Succession plan, we really don't have one at this time. We're just trying to keep things going.
Can I
Yeah,
add?
please do.
I would advise people who like to read or listen to audiobooks when it comes to business. If you've never read the book Equanimity, Equanimity, it's an Augmandino book by his organization. Talks a lot about being an entrepreneur and deciding whether you're going to be in the observer's chair or the self chair. As a business owner, you better be an observer, and the self should be sitting over there. It's a fascinating book. And my latest book, which many of you may or may not know, is called The Magic by Barb. In order to be growing in your personal life and in your business, you can grow a lot better by showing gratefulness and thankfulness all the time. Even in advance of doing something that you don't know if it's going to succeed or not, you best go into it with gratefulness and thankfulness that it's going to, because Rhonda talks a lot about how negativity will beget you negativity.
Go ahead, Mark.
I just want to say I have great employees, and I give them the autonomy to make decisions. I don't micromanage. I can walk away day, 2 weeks, or whatever, and I know that everything's getting done, and it will get done right. So I appreciate that from my employees.
Mike Alley, would you be willing to give us a list of some of your favorite books for entrepreneurs? So then, you don't have to give it to us right now, but would you be willing to email it to me, and then we can post it on our Facebook?
I have a long, long list. I'll do that.
Gladly
I
accept
appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Leah Braun with Harney Business Group and Twilight First Aid and Safety. I've been called a serial entrepreneur, which I wouldn't go that far, but I do have 2 businesses. I'm wondering what the biggest challenge is that you face and what you do about that as an entrepreneur.
Kind of stole my question.
One frustration is the government. Payroll taxes. Oh my God. They changed my password again, and I couldn't get in. I mean, and then they want you to fill out this survey that takes, I don't know how many hours. It's required by law. You have to fill this out. And I mean, it's just, okay, that's one frustration I have is the government. They don't want, I feel they don't want small businesses. It's very difficult to work in this society where, they want corporate America, and they keep saying small businesses, but really, come on, guys. give us some chances or some, they're just, the opportunities are difficult from the standpoint of help. You better know your books. You need to know it all, or because there's SCORE out there. There's other opportunities, but somewhere we got to help small businesses, and that's my frustration.
One of the problems we've been having recently, but we're working on it, is employee retention and being able to find good employees, but then also keep them. Our firm is constantly growing because our industries changes, but we have a lot of remote employees now that are either working from home, working in the middle of South Dakota, but they're working for us, serving our clients. So it's trying to adapt to not only this new generation of employees, but trying to figure out how to keep them, how to make them happy, what they want. They want to work, but they don't want to work the 80 hours during tax season that most older generation CPAs might remember. But so it's employee retention, trying to have a good work-home life balance, and so that's just something we're constantly working through.
I guess for me now in my life, and with the business that I have now, the hardest thing for me would be introducing Eastern medicine and Eastern philosophy in a Western society, because we're all very notorious for, okay, I don't feel good, I'm stressed, I'm going to go to the doctor and get a pill. Well, in Eastern medicine, we don't get a pill. We actually balance our energetic bodies, and it's amazing how that works. And then you go on with your life. And so that's the hardest thing for me, is to try to break that gap in the middle of South Dakota, because we are a little more conservative thinking here, and so therefore, bringing something new that's actually ancient into what we assume that it is real, the doctors, the psychologists, and all of that. And there is a place and time for Western medicine, I'm not saying that, but there are other options that people don't realize that they have to make their life a lot more enjoyable and free. So that's my biggest.
Really, my biggest issue is being a subcontractor of a subcontractor is getting paid. Typically, contracting anymore can be 60 to 90 days before you get paid. The suppliers expect to be paid in 30.
That's right.
So that's the biggest fight. And the only fix I have for it at the moment is a banker that seems to like it.
Me too. That's right.
I go back about 40 years ago, I had a business called Alley Produce. Anybody have memories of that? The Rapid City Journal actually made me momentarily famous. They did a full color page back in the days when they used to do marketing of local businesses like that. I had 13 employees, almost all at minimum wage. It was no fun. So getting out of the business like that was a case of losing a lot of money and just moving on, selling the house, paying off the debts, because I was young and foolish and borrowed money against my house to start the business. So keep those things in mind. When people come to a real estate company and they ask me they want to buy a small business, I say, no, you don't. You don't understand. Maybe you can start a small business, but if you actually pay somebody for one, it's really difficult unless you have a good CPA. Okay? That will review the books for you, because I did not do the proper background. Today, when it comes to employees and management, realtors, they're like attorneys and they're like other people. They just move around. They switch offices order the taste of the coffee. I mean, they're all salespeople, right? So they're pretty egocentric, and they are entrepreneurs because they're all independent contractors. So retaining real estate agents, you do a lot of biting on your tongue because, otherwise they just pick up and leave, and then you're faced with trying to meet the overhead. I can tell that from experience. 3 years ago, we had 28 agents, and I think today we have 16 or 17. So now you're going to grow again, and that happens cyclically in our business. And that's the difficult part, is maintaining some degree of level, because you have staff you want to continue to hold on to, but the agents come and go. So that would be.
What areas do you use to market your business? That's one area that we're really struggling with out here.
If you're going to be in real estate, you better be a door knocker. You need to be communicating with people. From my experience, when I started in 1991, yes, I was highly involved in the Chamber of Commerce. Never missed a chamber. Was a coach on my church council, etc. You got to be involved in the community, and people need to know your face. And so, networking and being visually present in the world of real estate is probably more important than all the Facebooks and etc. that you can put out there.
As for me, a lot of my marketing is, I do events. That's a lot of my marketing. A lot of my marketing comes from my clients. They build a trust in me, and they send people that they care about to me. So that's a lot of my marketing. Other than that, I do some Facebook posts, and I have a free meditation every Monday, so I get clients that way. Other than that, that's kind of how I do it. I allow my work to speak for myself, and it seems to work pretty well.
Ours is mainly dealing with architects and engineers. We are pretty much strictly commercial, so we don't really go out to the general public.
We have the Facebook and the websites, but our main thing is I'm in B&I networking, chamber. I go to the chamber mixers, not just to meet new people, but to see my current clients. And then door knocking, going, making your own deliveries and asking if they need anything else. Knocking on new doors to try to turn them into customers. So mainly it's hitting the streets, it's relationships.
It's funny you ask, because my marketing director is right in front. I don't know the answer. No. He tells me 92% though come from cross referrals, or from our current clients. And that's probably 80% of how my client base grew, was just from referrals. And but we're on Facebook, we're out to the colleges, we're other networking groups that we're involved in, chamber mixers. So it's just, getting our name out. It sometimes helps that we're the biggest, tallest white building downtown, and our name's right on the very top of it. It's kind of hard to miss that also. But no, a lot of as a whole, as a firm, our clients come from current client referrals.
Nationally, in the real estate world, 80% of business comes from referrals.
So I have a question. Melanie, Torno with Torno Mediation and Mental Health Services. So what do you attribute your being in business for this amount of years? Can you give us one or two things that you feel like have helped sustain the business for as long as you've been in business?
Being able to tolerate anxiety.
True story. That's a true story.
It helps when you get new presidents every 4 to 8 years, and their tax laws are always changing. People always have questions, but when the tax law changes, it's a whole new set of questions.
There was times that I I didn't get paid for, a few weeks or a month or so. You have to stick it out. I mean, there's times I could have closed the doors, but stuck it out and was able to finance some things myself, and good bankers and that believed in me and saw my vision, and I'm a visionary type person, so I'm always looking for new opportunities, and staying current with technology is important. I mean, that has been my key, and we don't print a lot on the presses, as much as on the presses as we used to. I've got envelope printers now that we used to do on the press. I've got big digital printers that do all the small runs, full color, that look phenomenal. As far as wide format stuff goes, we used to do latex printers now that we can print it and go immediate into production that we weren't able to do. We had to let it sit and gas out for a while. I mean, those are all things that have increased efficiencies and that type of stuff. So it's just not being afraid to change. And a conservative person that I am.
Mainly servicing the customer, trying to keep them happy, taking care of the architects, the engineers, the electricians, and the end user.
For me, I guess it is anxiety. You have to just believe in yourself and go for it. And what helps is have a great family to back you.
Sure. Brad Barclay. So with Rapid City growing and all of you guys in your business that you're in, how do you compete with the competition, and what separates you from the guy next door across the street that's trying to do the same exact thing as you are?
Great question.
Every once in a while. I'm just kidding.
Basically, our level of service, we try to help them. We help with the engineers with their projects, the architects. We work with the electricians, and we work with the end user. In fact, just yesterday, I had sold some microphones to a school in Manderson, and they were having some difficulty. So I drove down there and solved their problem. It's just taking care of the customer.
Absolutely, take care of the customer and they'll take care of you. I don't worry about my competition. I mean, I say that, you get your bids, you go out, you bid it. You can't expect to get them all. What you do get, you take care of, and you get your repeats. A lot of my customers don't bid me out. I mean, I've been doing their stuff for a lot of years. The sign industry is a little different. That is more of a bid-heavy industry. But you just do a good job and they come back to you.
Kind of back to what he was talking about, is just taking care of your customers. That's where we get all referrals from, is we do a good job, so they're gonna send more people our way. Hopefully, yeah. And then, just being, trying to provide those services and ahead of the game that maybe our clients don't think of. We're more than just a tax preparer. Offering the other services, or just letting them know these other services that we can offer, and they aren't even aware of those. But just trying to, our industry's constantly changing, but it's kind of evident more recently that it is definitely, the technology has forced us to change, and so just staying ahead of that game.
Return phone calls. I hear more and more of that. I called somebody, they didn't return my calls. Just return phone calls. And one other thing, do the legwork. Sign industry, there's so many codes. I was up in Bell for a job that we're doing up there. I went to the city hall, found out that I needed to be 15 feet back, a setback, went out and found the property lines for my customers so they didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So just doing the legwork for your customers and taking care of them.
Oh, I guess I'm going next, huh? As for me, I do have competitors. they're just people, and I'm gonna do my job, and the people that need me for their services, they come to me. I'm not going to get all the clientele in town, and I think that when we realize that in our mind, that we're not right for everybody, whatever it is. It could be a personality conflict, it could be, well, they're German or whatever, we have to realize that it's okay. Competition actually makes you a better person, and it actually makes you push a little bit harder. In my office building, there are several different people somewhat in my field. I mean, there's therapists and there's all types of things, and they're right next door. My clients walk right past their door and come into my door, and their clients walk right past my door and go into their door. I can't worry about it. I think when we start worrying about it, then what happens is it's a law of attraction. They're all going to go that way. If we worry about it, that's what we're creating. So I think mainly you do what you need to do, and your customers or clients will come to you.
Okay, Melanie Torno again, I have another question. So, what piece of advice or resources would you give, because 1MC really focuses on startup companies or companies that are 5 years or younger, what piece of advice would you give to young entrepreneurs to be successful, not necessarily in a monetary way, but just to run a successful business? What would be your advice?
Go ahead.
One of our kind of tools is we recommend having a good banker, lawyer, and CPA. You have to have a good network of professionals, not even a network, but a group of professionals that want to see you succeed, that will help you. You're an expert in what you do, I'm an expert in what I do, and we will work together to help your business. But if you don't, like, I see businesses come to me and it's like, but if you don't have a good lawyer, you're not going to, I can only offer you expertise in this area, not legal advice. And so when they're missing that, it's just like a piece of the pie that's missing that you can't fully grow like that you need. So.
Yeah, definitely a CPA is your best friend and your banker. I was able to, we had a large account. My line of credit was maxed out. I still needed more money because they don't pay in a timely manner. And the bankers had the purchase orders. I got another $50,000 loan because, he saw that I was going to be back to me, and that's crucial. Starting out though, when I started, I had, I went to my accountant. They've got to have some money, they've got to have some resources to be able to start that business, because the banks are not going to give it to you just because you have a good idea. Even 2 years ago when I bought Unique Signs, they wanted my house, they wanted personal guarantees, and I've been in business 15 years already. So you've got to be financially prepared to have something set aside for those hiccups and those months you can't pay yourself or whatever. So you've got to have reserves to make it.
The big thing is knowing your customer, knowing your product. Is it it may be a good idea, but is it saleable? That's the big thing. Is somebody going to want that product or service? And if so, how many people? Where? I mean, with the internet, it gives you a great deal. A much larger audience than we would ever have just working here in Rapid like we do.
I honestly think out of all the businesses I've started, and I was pretty young when I started my first one. I think that you have to have that belief in yourself, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, well, if this doesn't work, what would I be doing? Right? And if you don't have an answer, then you better figure it out. And you better get out there and pull up your bootstraps and actually go and dig in the dirt a little bit and really find your creative nook in whatever it is. I think that a lot of times it's like grandeur when you first, oh, I'm going to have a business and I'm going to be whatever. Well, that having a business and actually doing the work for it, that's really two different things. It's not shiny all the time. And so I think that people need to really look in the mirror and ask themselves if they can really do that and be honest with themselves. They really need to be honest with themselves.
And I probably wasn't very often. The interesting thing, I probably would have made more money. I know I would have made more money if money was your goal by staying as a independent broker at an office. Because in the real estate industry, the broker, manager, owner has all the bills, and the agents in the industry today make really high commission splits. And I'll explain that. When I started in the business in '91, a typical check would come into a brokerage and it would be split 50-50. The office would get 50%, the agent would get 50%. Today, that is somewhere between 75 to 85% for the agent, and 10 to maybe 20 for the brokerage. So being a real estate broker, whether you're Coldwell Banker or Century 21 or an independent or exit, it's really, really a margins business like it's never been before. So in our industry, you're seeing office size shrinking, people doing more business out of their car in their home and at a coffee shop because of technology. Most all of the, I imagine 70% of the contracts today are electronic signatures. They're like, we never meet the client face to face. And as an old school person, that has brought its problems for people that are thinking of buying and selling or know people doing it. That part of the industry is rapidly changing, and we see that the customer, the client, does not actually know all the stuff they need to know about the contract they're signing remotely, because these agents are sending them the form but not explaining it to them. So technology changes have created a little havoc in my world. I kind of digressed. Well, in our industry, in the Black Hills, I have probably 500 competitors as an individual trying to sell real estate. At least 500 others trying to do the same thing. So getting to referrals for business as someone who you, Melanie, might suggest, I think this person is competent, will do you a really good job. Or whether it's me or someone at my office. Referrals are for any business, I imagine, are probably what makes it happen. That's what we need, is for people to say. Additionally, you might want to understand our business model, which is totally different than any other real estate business model in the world, in that I could pay you to recruit agents for me. You can get somewhere around 5% of the commission that comes to an office as what we call a company development fee. So if you come to me and say, I would like to recruit agents, or I have someone who'd like to get into the business, and they come to work for Exit Realty, for $345 a year, I can make you several $1,000s, because that's what it costs to be what's called an Exit Associate. So that would help me immensely, and I have a couple of people doing that. You're going to ask the question, well, I thought you had to have a real estate license to get a commission. This is not a commission. We actually pay 10% of all of our commissions go to Toronto. And then they turn around and they're not a real estate company, they're a franchiser. So they don't have a real estate license, so they can then turn around and pay you a check every time there's a transaction closes for that agent that you referred to, Exit Realty, anywhere in North America.
Basically, I think just growing this, it's nice, you know, as somebody who has been in business a long time, it's nice to be able to talk to other people who are starting businesses or just running businesses, just as a network for referrals and just getting ideas, thoughts, and ways to grow my business along with maybe growing yours.
And I think for Casey Peterson, it's just getting out to do more things like this. You know, just being out in the community at different events. You know, sometimes we're always at the same event at the same time, but it's these new ones where we're meeting new people that they can probably help us just as much as you guys can help our firm and vice versa. So it's just the exposure to a different group of people.
Yeah, it's all about networking and relationships, and meeting all this group is awesome, so thank you for inviting me.
I have to agree with that. And thank you for allowing me to be here. And I guess what you can do for me is referrals, and meeting new people and being in different groups allows me to do that. One of my keys for my business is I wanted to break out of the norm. I don't want to just be in the holistic community. I want to embrace people that maybe have never even understood what I did, because it's not just for that community. Some people think that community is the yahoos and kind of, wow, they're kind of crazy. Well, I'm more straight-lined, and I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.